On January 4th of this year, I created a video with my 7 predictions for the crypto market in 2023. It's been an eventful year so far, so in today's video, I'm going to review how those predictions have stacked up so far. Have they come true or did they fall flat? And then I'll also look at which new narratives I'm focused on for the remainder of 2023. Welcome back to Dynamo DeFi. As a reminder, although I'll talk about several different cryptocurrencies in this video, nothing I say is financial advice. This is for educational purposes only. Now, let's get into it. First, here is my proof of video, January 4th, 7 crypto market predictions. All right, so let's look at what these predictions were. First prediction was that Ethereum layer 2s would continue to gain adoption. Second prediction was that DeFi would take market share from CeFi. Third prediction was that liquid staking would receive more attention. Fourth prediction was that the US regulates crypto. That one's definitely started to turn out true, although we'll talk about all of these in a minute. Fifth prediction was that music NFTs would continue growing. Sixth prediction was that more dApps would launch their own chain. This is the dApp chain thesis. And then 7 was that AI and crypto would become integrated. Awesome. So let's look at how these predictions stacked up one by one. First prediction was about Ethereum layer 2s. And I've got to be honest, I'm pretty happy with this prediction so far. If you look at the total value locked, this is money that was moved from Ethereum mainnet over to layer 2s. Then when I made the video, it was just over 4 billion. And then now it's almost 9 billion, down from over 10 billion a couple months ago. So I would say that definitely proves that people have started to move money to layer 2s in increasing quantities. And then if you look at the activity on Ethereum layer 2s, then you can see that from January 4th, when I made the video, it's more than doubled. It's almost tripled. So I would say first prediction has turned out a-okay, and this is still one of the top narratives that I'm following for 2023. So I don't think this is fully done playing out yet. I think that Ethereum layer 2s still have room to grow more, especially with the launch of new layer 2s like zkSync Era, Polycon EVM, and more. So definitely continuing to watch this for the future. Going back to the list of predictions, the second prediction was that DeFi would take market share from CeFi. And if you recall, in January, we were still dealing with the immediate aftermath of the FTX collapse. So my thesis was that the collapse of centralized exchanges would push more people to use DeFi alternatives. Let's see whether this one has panned out. So if we look at the market share of centralized exchanges compared to DEXs, then looking at this chart from my friend Miles, we can see that the ratio in May of 21% of DEX to CEX volume is actually way up, right? It's up nearly 2x from the start of the year. That being said, I still think this is relatively low, and I think this is probably in part driven by meme coins. However, I still think that this trend could accelerate further because of the recent actions against Coinbase and Binance by the SEC in the United States. And the reason for that is that if you're not in the loop, the SEC has been charging Coinbase and Binance with selling unregistered securities. And I think that there's a decent chance that because of this, exchanges are forced to delist many of the smaller tokens that they already are. And many exchanges have already started to delist tokens after these suits. And the reason why that could push more volume over to DEXs is that a lot of smaller tokens, even if they're not available on a centralized exchange, you could still get it through Uniswap or another decentralized exchange. My third prediction for 2023 was that liquid staking would get more attention and grow. Let's look at whether that's played out. If we go over to our friend at DeFi Llama, we can see the total value locked, total TVL, across different DeFi categories. And if we look then at the start of January, or we could say January 4th, liquid staking had about 8.9 billion compared to lending at 10.5 billion and DEXs at 15 billion. If we fast forward through today, we have the successful Ethereum Shanghai upgrade. And from that, we can see that liquid staking now has nearly $20 billion of TVL compared to DEXs having 17 billion and lending having 14 billion. So in other words, liquid staking has gone from being the third largest category to the largest category of DeFi. And I'm going to talk about this more later in the video, because DeFi applications that build using liquid staking tokens, I believe, are probably one of the most interesting trends for the remainder of 2023, now that you've had all of this money flow into liquid staking. My fourth prediction for 2023 from January was that the US regulated crypto, this would be a big theme of 2023. And I would say that that's definitely played out even just this week. And this is, by the way, part of what prompted me to make this video with updates. We saw the SEC file charges against Binance entities and founder CZ, and we saw SEC charge Coinbase for operating as an unregistered security exchange. These are articles directly from the SEC website, so I'm basically just reading their headlines. And yeah, this has caused a lot of people to question, will crypto have a future in the US? If that future does exist, what will it look like? Will exchanges continue to be able to operate in the United States? And I think this is honestly going to be a major theme through 2023, maybe beyond, and could shape the future of the industry. Yes, the United States is not the only country, certainly not the only major market that matters. However, it's one of, if not the largest market in crypto. Huge proportion of money that's locked up in crypto right now is controlled by people who live or otherwise have business affiliations with the United States. So yeah, this is going to be important for the overall market. I will say that if anything, like I mentioned before, this could push more people to DeFi, because as long as you have an exchange where you can access Bitcoin and Ethereum and you can withdraw those to a wallet, then you can access the entire on-chain ecosystem, because you have Thorchain, you have bridges, you have DEXs. You can access anything you want as long as you have Bitcoin and or Ethereum. My fifth prediction for the year was that music NFTs would continue growing. And I have to say, this is the first one of these predictions that has not played out. If we look at this Dune dashboard, which shows drops of music NFTs, then we can see that the peak for new drops was in December of 2022. So right before I made this video, and that it's actually been trending down. And then if we look at song NFTs minted, then it did increase a bit at the start of the year, but then has held flat or started to decrease since then. I haven't totally given up hope on music NFTs. I still think it's one of the best use cases for owning a non-fungible digital asset. However, I guess the market wasn't quite ready for it yet. And I do think part of that is, if you look at total NFT volume, then total NFT volume, barring right after Blur hype started, total NFT volume has basically been down only this year, right? The volume has been down. Trades, absent a few spikes, have overall been trending down, especially the past month. And so yeah, if the entire NFT marketplace is trending downwards, it's going to be tough for a new category to gain serious traction. Still holding out hope, but not counting on this as one of the trends I'm necessarily following for the remainder of this year. My sixth prediction for the crypto market in 2023 was that more dApps would launch their own chain. And if we look at the total number of Cosmos chains, yes, there's 59 zones. Yes, new chains are constantly launching. However, in truth, this has not fully played out to the extent that I thought it would, where you would see this influx of existing dApps decide that they wanted to go the dApp chain route. That being said, I still think this has potential, and that's for a few reasons. First is that DYDX has actually not launched their chain yet. They posted just yesterday that their public testnet is coming soon. And yes, I'm excited to try it out like they ask in this tweet. And I think that this could in fact spark more chains, assuming this goes well, to consider whether maybe a dApp chain would be the right solution for them. Furthermore, you have other exciting developments in the Cosmos ecosystem. You have interchain security, you have other updates to Atom tokenomics, and then you have other exciting chains launching, such as Berachain, which could bring a Cosmos native stablecoin and hopefully bring more liquidity to the entire Cosmos ecosystem. And that brings us to my final prediction for 2023 from January, which was that AI and crypto would become more fully integrated. This video was, of course, made shortly after the launch of ChatGPT, and generative images, generative text were just starting to make the news. Well, let's see how this has played out. Since then, the AI narrative is definitely still running hot. Apple's been launching AI features, Google Bard launched, and a lot of AI coins have followed suit. If you look at Fetch as one example, it went ballistic, right, going 4x, and then it's since retraced. Render, my personal favorite, distributed GPU computing, also did extremely well and hit an all-time high just a couple weeks ago. So overall, I'm still pretty bullish on AI cryptos, and that's just the simple reason that so much media attention is on AI right now. So many people are starting to try to figure out how they can integrate AI into their business. And I think some of that attention will spill over to cryptos that can make the compelling case that either they're able to leverage AI to provide users with new experiences and applications, or that solve a key problem that AI is currently causing or facing. And I wrote a detailed thread a couple months ago on Twitter where I outlined some of the ways why crypto could actually solve some of the worst problems that AI is creating. I'll link that down in the description if you want to read more. Those were my original crypto market predictions for 2023, but we're into June now. What do I think about the rest of the year? Which sectors am I focused on now? Besides some of the ones that I already mentioned, like liquid staking, like AI, like layer 2s, like DeFi, there's a few other ones I didn't mention at the start of the year that I think are starting to show some promising signs of development. The first of these is the tokenization of real-world assets. And I cringe at the term real-world assets, but it's kind of become the industry standard now, because isn't Bitcoin a real-world asset? Isn't Ethereum a real-world asset? We're living in the real world now just because they're digital. But basically, this is traditional assets that have been tokenized and brought on-chain. And my thesis is, and this is part of the reason why I'm in the industry in the first place, is that eventually everything that can be tokenized will be. Why? It's more secure. You can self-custody. It's a more efficient way to conduct transactions, and plus you can introduce programmability with smart contracts. So I think that things will be tokenized eventually. And by the way, that the CEO of major financial firm BlackRock agrees with me, right? The BlackRock CEO earlier this year touted tokenization, talked about it having exciting applications, and even warned that the US was falling behind. This year, we've started to see some promising projects gain traction, such as Backed.fi, which is infrastructure for capital markets on chain and has fully backed tokenized real world assets. Another one that's gained a lot of attention is Ondo Finance, because they tokenize US treasuries. So if you don't have access to US treasuries through traditional means, you can purchase them on chain through Ondo Finance. So really cool stuff happening. And if you want to check on the progress of this sector, I found this great website called rwa.xyz. And if you go to their app here, then you can track different sectors like private credit, soon real estate, and securities as well. And you can see how much money has actually been locked into these applications. It's definitely something I'll be following to see if this narrative continues to gain traction. The second new narrative that I'm starting to follow is not liquid staking, but something that's known as LSD-Fi. LSD is liquid staking derivative. Fi is, of course, finance. And remember that liquidity infusion I mentioned earlier in the video, right? Liquid staking has nearly doubled in TVL since the start of the year. That means that billions of dollars are being unlocked for use in the DeFi ecosystem. And these tokens are usable through the form of what's known as a liquid staking derivative or liquid staking token. For example, if you stake through Lido Finance, then you get a token called STETH, which you can then use in different crypto protocols. For example, you can use it as collateral to borrow money. You can use it as collateral to mint a stablecoin, or you can do some more creative things such as leveraging the yield in different applications. Point being that this financial applications that's built on liquid staking, I think has huge potential simply because you have billions of dollars that are waiting to be deployed in the crypto ecosystem. And frankly, the liquid staking TVL hasn't shown any signs of slowing down yet. Like with AI cryptos, I wrote a detailed thread on Twitter about the LSD-Fi narrative. And here I talk about exactly what sort of applications are being built using the liquid staking primitive, go through 10 different examples of a variety of applications that either allow you to earn yield on your ETH or use liquid staking derivatives in other ways. And then I also talk about how you can research them yourself, because this channel, we are all about DYOR. If you want to be more on top of crypto trends, each week I publish a free newsletter where I talk about the latest emerging narratives with a focus on on-chain metrics, stats, as well as interesting thought pieces. And for more videos like this, be sure to like and subscribe. Until next time, this is Dynamo DeFi.